Hey, this video is a little introduction to the step back process for your ideal life. Thought I would shoot this. When you first get this document, don't be too overwhelmed. There's a lot of stuff there. At the end of the day, this is really just a kickstart for you to start the process of trying to think about, what is it that I'd really like in my life? And before we go on, just a little thing that I base this off. It's a bit of a concept that the problem isn't that we want too much out of our lives. The problem is we don't want it all. The main question though is, what is your all? And this process is here to help you tap into what your all is, what's really important to you in life, and hopefully this can kind of go beyond really go beyond extrinsic things. And what extrinsic things are, beyond money, beyond fame. What is it behind those things that you really want internally? Is it a sense of connection to people? Is it a sense of well-being? What are you really looking for? So this video will take a few minutes to go through. Hopefully you find it beneficial, and the actual pages that I show you might change, but in general the process won't change a bunch. So when you kind of get into this right off the bat, of course, there's the cover page, number one, and the next page just gives a little bit of a preamble about what the process is you're looking to take, and this here is just a description of what my ideal life, my draft of my ideal life looks like right now. And it's important to use that word draft because this process is meant to be a kind of continual uncovering of what it is that you really want in this world. So have fun with it. However it really works, take what works for you and leave what doesn't. But again, the process is to just get you thinking about what it is you really want. So stage one is really, where do I want to go? And as you step into this, before you really start thinking about it, you need to start thinking about, well, what's led you to start asking this question right now? Has something significant happened in your life? Maybe a divorce, maybe a loss of a job, maybe a new career, maybe selling a business, maybe a business that didn't work out. What is it that's really happened in your life that's got you to this point where you're questioning, what is it that I'd really like in my life moving forward? Take some time to really think about this. Don't get lost in it again. Just reflect on this a bit. Then once you kind of have an idea of what it is that it led you to here, you have to ask yourself, well, what do I maybe need to let go of? Let go of in my life so I can start moving forward. Quite often we have this other identity, this other image of who we were, what we were. It might serve us well to really think about that and potentially even say goodbye to that. Say goodbye to that old me, to what's there, to ensure that you can carry on moving forward with this new life. So let's dive in a little bit more. And the first part of the exercise is where I guide you through a meditation. I have plans to put that audio file up soon, but really just get yourself in a comfortable position and just imagine for a moment that you are living a day in your ideal life. What could this ideal day look like, this ideal week, this ideal year? What is it that you'd be showing up like in this ideal life? What different aspects of your life might be there? Is it things like friends, family, your business maybe, your health, your spirituality? What are the different aspects that are important to you that would round out what you would consider to be an ideal life? Once you really have this figured out, and that's kind of this page here, what we did there, once you have that, just brainstorm a little bit. As you went through this kind of guided exercise and thought about it, what different aspects showed up for you? What was important? And just jot those down. You don't have to come up with everything right off the bat either. Again, don't worry about being perfect. Just think about this as a process that can lead you towards mastery of it. And mastery is much different than being perfect. Mastery means you'll keep putting effort into this. So if you continuously come back to this, maybe you've only got 3 aspects that show up right now. Well, maybe next week you'll have 4, 5. Who knows? Maybe you'll have less. Maybe you'll change the names. It doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. Just play with it, have fun, keep asking the questions, and keep taking steps towards what it is that you've uncovered so far. It'll eventually, over time, as at least it did for me, eventually it'll lead to the point where you might have 8 or 9 or 10 different aspects that are really important to you. So once you have these first aspects though, then you take the time to, in this circle here, divide it into these different aspects. So let's say you had or I would say 4 aspects. Now I would say 8. I can divide this really easily 8 times. You would just take this and divide this pie up equally 8 times, okay? Once you have that, now it's time to kind of take another step forward. And the next step is to think about these different aspects, each one of them, and just have some fun with this. And first think about, if I was living my ideal life right now, what is it that I might be doing? Or how would I want to be in this different aspect? Who might be around me? What might be going on? So I've got some examples, and this is getting into this table here. You know, for myself, for example, for my health, I've got a statement like, I'm happy, healthy, and having fun. I'm around 200 pounds and able to run a half marathon whenever I want. So again, you might not be able to get that descriptive right off the bat, but whatever comes up, just put it in there. And again, be thinking about things that would really fulfill you internally. And then the next question to ask yourself again in this same table is, why is this important to me? And for this one, for my health again, I say it's important to me because I want to be in control of my mind, body, and spirit. A strong body is a foundation to make the other things happen in my life. So again, it's kind of like a little bit of a why statement, a little bit of a reason why you want this. And take some time, have fun. Again, jot down what comes to mind right off the bat and just keep coming back to it. Again, you might find it pretty interesting if you keep following this process on an ongoing basis, what might bubble out of this, okay? So once you have these filled out, you can go on to the next step. The next step is kind of where we start talking about core values. So to look at your core values, one thing that I like to see is, now that you've filled out this portion, you know, what you want in your life and really why it's important to you, start asking yourself, what are you starting to see here? And you might start seeing some common themes pop out. Again, don't worry too much about this, just jot a few things down, and ultimately what I start doing with my core values is I start repeating them to myself every morning as they evolve, and I find my core values over time kind of evolve. So, you know, one of my core values is I'm humble and I'm grateful. Those are some core values I have. Over time, I just kind of keep playing with this, having fun, but right now, just jot down some things that you think are really important to you that you're seeing come up as recurring themes. Now, once you have this, I want to take a little second and take a step back myself here. Remember, you've got the segments. You can write your different aspects in the segments. So you've got your little statements here. What I would invite you to do, at least what I do, is I take these and I transform this into something like I have, where I take the time to have the aspect and have a little bit of a combination of what I want them to look like, as well as why that's important to me. Little statements show up there that I can kind of pin up somewhere and look at and say, oh yeah, that's what's important to me. And this will become important later on. But for now, if you want to do that, fine. Again, if you don't want to do it, don't worry about it. Just do whatever kind of feels right. So now that you've taken the time to figure out, hey, this is kind of where I'm looking at going, and I've got this idea of how I want that to look like, what I really want to show up like in that area, and why that's important, you can take a step back again and ask yourself, well, compared to where I want to get to, where am I right now? So what I do for that is I'll take these, again, I'll use kind of a filled in portion like that. And what I'll do there is just maybe shade in the different areas on a level of 1 to 10. 1 being, yeah, I'm really don't have that showing up, and 10 maybe being, yeah, that's showing up exactly how I want it to be right now. So just go around to each segment and kind of shade each one of those in from 1 to 10. And once you have those shaded in, sit back and reflect on it and say, hey, you know what? Looking at this, how I have it shaded in, what's coming up for me? And then ask yourself, if I was to work on 1 or 2 of these segments right now, how big of an impact would that have on my life? Go ahead and do that now. And once you have these 1 or 2 aspects, just jot them down. Once you have that jotted down, it's time to take a look at the next segment and ask yourself, how do I get to where I want to get to? So now you know you have these couple of aspects in there. It's time to step back again and say, well, how do I get there? So you know that you have, say for example, for me it's always one, family and friends. That's something that's always important to me, something that I neglected a lot actually when I was in business, and that I'm kind of working on now, trying to get improved in my life. So I continuously ask myself, well, what is it that I can do in this area? So once you kind of have an idea of what the biggest aspect is that you'd like to work on, take some time and think, well, what thing could I do right now? What project, I guess you could say, could I undertake that if I was to do it would allow me to move that needle from wherever it is? Maybe it's a 3 right now, maybe I can move it up to a 4. And I, again, take a page out of less is more here. So rather than trying to improve every one of your aspects, you take a look at, friends and family, and knowing that that'll probably have an impact maybe overall on your entire process, and maybe knowing that physical health is important to you. Maybe you come up with an initiative that says, yeah, you know what, friends and family are important to me, and also physical health. So maybe what I'll do is to gather more friends. Maybe I'll join a cycling group. And you see how this starts to work? And then you figure out, well, join a cycling group. What is it that I would have to do? It's one thing to say, yeah, I'm just going to join a cycling group, but how many times do we actually take that and say, oh, you know what, I'm going to do this, and quite often we find that we don't do these things. So what I encourage you then to do is to take your project, take the thing that it is that you want to do, and break it down into different little tasks. So again, for maybe a bike group, it might be, well, find the different, task 1 might be find different bike groups that are available in the Edmonton area. And task 2 might be phone contacts for each of the 3 top bike groups that I find, and task 4 might be go to bike group. It might be that simple. But by taking the time to actually think through what it is you have to do and, step up to the plate and write down the task, well, it increases your odds of actually getting it done. There's a study out there by Gail Matthews that really talks about with goal setting, how important it is to not only think through what task it is that you want to accomplish, but also get all the way down to writing the task down and actually sharing these with other people, so an accountability partner, so that you're more likely to complete it. So now that you've gotten through all this, you know kind of what you want to do, you know what you want your life to look like, you know what aspects you're going to work on, you know where you are right now, and you know what project and what tasks you're going to undertake to kind of start moving the needle in the right direction. It's time to, how do you keep yourself on track? So keeping yourself on track, I would also ultimately have you ask yourself, again, with accountability, it's really about the inside, how important this is to you. So the first step would be to step back and ask yourself, how important is this really for me to undertake? And if I was to get this, what could this lead to? Once you have that, there's other things you can do. You can find an accountability partner. You can find a coach. That's really what a coach does, is helps you figure out, hey, what is the next thing that you're going to do, and helps kind of tap you into that internal motivation that'll allow you to kind of move it forward. But also review this plan and this process regularly. I would say, like every Saturday, if you could, take a few minutes, or a Sunday, whatever. Pick a regular time and schedule this. Schedule a time to step back with yourself and see, hey, how am I making out? What insights have I had? What might I need to let go of right now? What can I be grateful for? And just kind of keep asking and going through this process. Again, there's some extra things in here. Take a look at it. Take what works for you and leave what doesn't. Lastly, though, one of the best ways to keep on track is to adopt a daily, call it a meditation practice, call it whatever you want, but a practice where you can actually sit for a moment and imagine this ideal life that you've kind of created on paper here, and imagine how it would feel to be in that ideal life. Imagine feeling the way that you're showing up in the world, and again, feeling why these things are so important to you. Take the time to really step into it and ask yourself, well, why is this so important for me to have it? Maybe this is where the extra insight will come that might lead you to even more insight about what it is you're looking for. take the regular time. I do it daily. I take about 10 minutes every morning as part of my meditative practice to just think about and actually go through all the different aspects of my life and imagine myself living a day in this life. You know, imagine myself living how it is to have these different things in my life as if they're here right now. I say, you know what, I'm happy, healthy, having fun, and I'm able to run a half marathon whenever I want. And this is so important to me because I feel that a strong physical foundation is the basis for everything else. So that's it for now. Hopefully this isn't too overwhelming. Again, it's meant to be gentle. Even if you just start off with one aspect, one thing, you know, it's just a process that you continuously go through to ultimately ask yourself, where is it that I am right now? What might I need to let go of to move forward? What do I really want out of life? How do I get there, and how do I keep on track? You know, it's a very interesting process, and if you continuously kind of keep going through it, you'll hopefully find some great benefit as I have. You know, it's a work in progress. It's not perfect yet, but I hope you found some value in this today. Thank you very much, and you have a great day.